The Oklahoma Marriage Initiative has partnered with the Oklahoma Publishing Company to select the 12 most inspiring couples in the state as nominated by children, parents, employers, students, friends, business partners, and others who have been touched by these special lives. Our 12 couples have lived out their wedding vows and their commitment to each other despite some of the most difficult challenges families can face. Our inspiring couples have supported each other through unspeakable heartache, such as the death of a child, sudden illness, as well as military deployments, physical disabilities, and natural disasters. Our inspiring couples have joined together to raise stepchildren, foster children, grandkids, and extended family members. They also are eager to reach out to strangers in need. Through their challenges and accomplishments, they have learned the secrets to creating and maintaining strong, stable, healthy, enjoyable, and lifelong marriages. Art and Sandy Cotton have been married 18 years and have worked together for more than 20 years. The two have managed a blended family of 4 children and now work together at Oklahoma City University, where they are role models for students and peers alike.
He was my boss at the time, and he's a wonderful boss.
I haven't been her boss since, I can tell you. We were friends long before we ever dated, and before we became romantically involved in things. I think that's probably one of the strongest things about our relationships. We were friends first.
And we love being together. I mean, we're best friends, and so when we have any time off, we want to be with each other. I can't think of anyone I would rather be with and spend time with. He makes me laugh, he's funny, he makes me mad sometimes, but he lets me be me.
The friendship part's more important than almost anything else, and we tell our own children that you know, when you meet someone, there's always that passion or, you know, those physical attractions that people are drawn to, but a lot of times, you know, those can fade. I think if you're friends first, and you do have to be understanding and respect the person as an individual, that love continues to grow and it doesn't fade.
Jay and Siobhan Gower met in South Korea, where they were both stationed in the Army and assigned to work on rocket launchers. They were married about a year later, and in the 11 years since, have endured assignments in different states and a deployment to Iraq.
So we spent that whole first year of our marriage, you know, it's about a 5-hour drive.
It's amazing how short 5 hours can seem, you know, when you're in love. Yeah. Every weekend was a holiday. It was exciting to get off work and hit the road.
After a year, we had Daniel. When he was 5 months old, that's when I got deployed to Iraq, and so that was the first major challenge.
Everything was easy until then, and then that's when like just everything hit at once. It's tough because as a soldier, everyone has this idea that, you know, you're tough and you're strong and you're somehow separated from what a normal woman would feel. Well, definitely the fact that we love each other, and through everything that we've gone through, I mean, that's never changed. But also having friends and a good church and family.
A lot of it's also just, you know, personal fundamentals that, you know, we're raised on, that, you know, you don't just give up on stuff like that.
Rinzai and Leanne Stone have gained inspiration from terrible tragedy. The two have strengthened their marriage and family despite the death of their infant son last year, and never miss an opportunity to share the lessons they learned from him, both in life and death.
If our marriage hadn't been built on the foundation it was built on, and if we hadn't given up control of the situation to God, our marriage wouldn't have been able to hold up through the process. I mean, it was a grueling, confusing, gut-wrenching period in our life. One thing I think Leanne and I did a good job of is we tried to keep balance. And we tried, you know, when we would wake up, we wouldn't know what we were in for. We wouldn't know whether we were going to spend the day in the hospital. We wouldn't know if we were going to have a great day. Well, there were quite a few days where both of us were just beat down and depressed. And then this little boy is just happy as a clam. No seizures, smiling, laughing. And so it was a real lesson in living each day to its fullest.
He taught us that we're stronger than you could ever think you could be. When you think you're at your lowest, you gotta find it in yourself to just push through and to not wallow in your pity. You gotta deal with what you've got, and then you gotta move on. Because you can't live your life, we talk about this a lot, like in regrets and nostalgia and remember wins and this and that. The day he died, we chose to not put a spin on it. It was the longest day ever. but it was like 11:30 in the morning, and we were at our house, and people, had been showing up, and our minister had come over, and Renza and I stole a moment back in our room, and I remember he grabbed my hand and he said, don't leave my side. We've got to stick together. It's going to be tough. And I just remember thinking, you're absolutely right. Like, we're going to get through this because we have each other, because we have faith in God, and because we have another baby that needs us.
William and Evelyn Cummings believe family should take care of family, especially when times are tough. They put that belief into action, raising 11 nieces and nephews, along with their 2 biological children.
We're friends. This is my best friend, and I can tell him anything. Although it's difficult sometimes, but I know that he'll listen, and he didn't judge me. Especially when it was like, we got to go get another kid. He would just look at me. Where are we going to put him? We'll just put another bunk bed in somebody's room.
First of all, I'll let them know, you have to step up, stand up, and be a man. In order to be a man, you needed to be around and see a real man, see how he interacts with his wife, with his children, with his mother, with his sisters.
Be honest. Be honest about your feelings. If you're scared, let them know you're scared, and keep those communication lines open all the time. Make sure you have time for just you and him. Even when the children come, just set aside, even if it's an hour, just for you and him, and take the TV out of the bedroom. That was really good for us because we had to talk, because it was boring and there were no TVs.
Diana and Matias are role models in the Hispanic community. The 2 met while working together at a local Spanish-language newspaper in Oklahoma City and now partner in running Fiesta Deportiva Media while raising 2 small children.
Communicate, patience. I think that's the biggest challenge for everybody, to be able to listen to the other person and to have that patience. We're gonna fight all the time. We're not the perfect couple. Nobody is, I think. There is no such thing as the perfect couple. But I think the answer really is to listen to each other, and understand. Okay, I understand your point. Here's my point, and go to a middle. I'm just saying, no, but yeah, honestly, it's just communication and patience.
Yeah, I think that the key is communication, and also to be agree, like in whatever you have to do, you both have to be agree on.
Tom Jones grew up in a violent, abusive home. Together, he and his wife Connie have spent their adult lives working to help other young people overcome and avoid similar situations.
We understood that if we were ever going to continue to be the strength to lead not only our own children, but all these kids that God had entrusted us to pour into and to mentor, that we had to be healthy in our relationship and in our marriage. And so we called it date night, and our kids hated it. The Harbor House boys hated it. They didn't understand why they couldn't go and
have everybody together. We always moved as a unit, except for date night.
Our oldest son, Adam, he's got 5 children, and he told us early on when he started having kids, he's going, now I understand why you guys have date night. He said, I could understand it as a kid, but you have to get away and regroup and so that you can be strong again when you go back and lead your family. And so now his kids are whining at him, and when we're visiting sometimes with them, and sometimes we'll watch the kids while they go on date night, and the kids are going, Dad, that's not fair, that's not fair. And Adam just winks at me because that's exactly what they used to say to us.
Jack and Elaine Dake met through mutual friends just after Jack returned from the Korean War. The two love to garden together and have made a commitment to serving their community by sharing their produce with family, friends, and even a few strangers in need.
I think we do our young people a disservice. When I was growing up, I used to read those true stories and, those magazines, those pulp magazines, and everybody lived happily ever after. And that's sort of what we teach our young people. Overall, our life has been really good and happy, but you're not happy every day. Not every day is a glowing day as far as your relationship. So you just work your way through it.
Regardless of being diagnosed with a degenerative eye disease as a boy and losing his sight, Benny Meyer and his wife Angie have not allowed the limitation to stop them from traveling the world together. The Meyers are also marathon runners, and Benny is a world champion in beep ball, a sport similar to baseball.
We can always agree to disagree or disagree to agree, and that's mainly what we do. We just never jump and say, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. We talk about what we're going to do before we ever jump into something. Give and take. I mean, one can't have it all their way, he can't have it all his way or she her way. I think it's just a give and take.
Let him tell you, what he feels, and listen. Be a listener. He has to do the same thing. And faith and trust.
And then the other word too, understanding too. Just, trust, faith, and understanding, where you understand each other, because each one has problems, and that way when you understand what the problems are, then there's where your trust comes in, your faith comes in, your communications.
When Dick and Edna Lutz were still in high school, they went to the next town, woke up a preacher, lied about their age, and married in secret. They told no one for 6 months, but 7 decades later, they are not shy about sharing the secrets of their 71-year marriage.
I was a lifeguard at a swimming pool. I was 16, she was 14. And I was up on my perch above the bathhouses so I could watch the pool. And she got in at the little end where she could walk. And then she got up where she had to swim, and it was like this a couple times, and then she'd grab hold of the side and rest. Well, I saw that little hiney just going like that, and I said, I'm gonna marry that girl. 2 years later, we did.
He's a teaser, and you have to go along with it. But anytime you're ticked off, a teasing will take care of it, He's just a good guy, a good provider. I'd choose him again.
Don't elope.
Don't elope, he says. You got no help when you elope.
Through their 18 years of marriage, Wayland and Cree Cubitt have experienced normal ups and downs, but they always have been able to communicate through dance. Regardless of what life throws their way, they follow the rules of dance by staying connected, even when one or both partners has a misstep or gets out of sync.
There's an attitude, or there's a, to use the kids' term, there's a swag that I think you got to have in marriage, and that attitude is that we don't quit. We don't give up. It's not an option for us. Failure is not an option for us. So we know that good times are just like bad times, and so we treat them as such. Neither one of them lasts forever. You just hang on and you just ride it out. That's one of the metaphors for our dance, is that we stay connected no matter what. We mess up, it's okay, as long as we're connected. Nobody else in the room, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks, as long as we're connected and we're communicating with each other. She's very, very good, the best ever at the silent treatment. She's the best ever at it. She can stay quiet and not talk when she's mad for long periods of time. Well, in dance, I don't need her voice. We can talk through touch and feel and through our connection. So she can't stay mad long as we're dancing.
The connection that you feel when you dance, you have no choice but to get it right. Yeah, there are times we may mess up, but you keep going at it and you're going to get it right eventually. It's just like we tell our kids, you can't quit.
Ted and Lydia Leslie have endured a long-distance relationship, a military deployment, and law school, but nothing prepared them for their son's bout with cancer. The couple and the family have grown closer through the battle, and their son has been symptom-free for 3 years.
When you have a child that's sick or a family member that's sick, may not be a child, maybe your parent or something, that it throws the balance of your marriage off, because I think that God should come first, and then your spouse, and then your children. And in that situation, you have to put your child first. And so it throws it off. It drew us closer in some ways too, because we prayed a lot together and shared a common thing and a common struggle.
It's, odd to say, but looking back now, it was also a good time. We came together as a family, and I think we grew closer to God, and we grew closer to each other, and I don't remember us having many disputes about it, and we never had a real disagreement on which way to go for treatment or care. any major battles that I recall at all.
We had a lot of fun, and I tell cancer moms too to don't miss the moment, because even in the hospital we're riding down on our IV pole and going outside and playing, so he remembers a lot of really good things.
Jake and Tiffany Linhart already had adopted one son from Haiti and were in the process of adopting 2 more when the earthquake hit in January 2010. Through the devastation, tragedy, and uncertainty of the earthquake, Jednay and Jackson were able to join their new family much sooner than expected.
You have to remember that she's not the enemy and that I'm not the enemy. Even if you fight with your wife and win, you still lose.
I think especially, I don't know, young girls kind of grow up thinking that you're going to get married and this person's going to meet all your needs, and I kind of put the expectation on him that he was responsible for making me happy, and that was a really unhealthy thing, and we worked through that the first couple of years of our marriage. I had to be really just consistent in making sure that we do have time to spend, just the 2 of us, and if it means hiring a babysitter or being creative and waking up before everyone else wakes up and go and have breakfast together, continue to be each other's best friend. He has been my best friend for the last 15 years, and it's still, when something really awesome happens in my day, he's the first person I want to call, and when something really difficult happens, he's still the first person I want to call. And even in the very stressful, difficult moments and seasons of our marriage, I can still have so much fun with him, and we can laugh and be silly and just continue to be each other's best friends.
These couple stories have been compiled into a 12-month calendar, and more extensive stories on these couples will appear in the Oklahoman throughout the year. Start thinking now about which couple you would like to nominate for next year's edition of Oklahoma's Most Inspiring Couples. Watch for more information this fall at newsok.com.